Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has called for Barnaby Joyce, the former leader of the Nationals Party and a sitting member of the Nationals Party, to be sacked over Bullitt's comments at a wind farm protest rally. And this is how the ABC News actually covered it, if you guys aren't sure about exactly the context.
On the weekend, Nationals MP Barnaby Joyce said,
"And the bullet you have is that little piece of paper, and it goes in that magazine called The Voting Box, and it's coming up. Get ready to load that magazine."
As you can imagine, that's gone down like a lead balloon because...
Former US President Donald Trump has survived an attempt on his life at a campaign rally.
Unfortunately for Barnaby...
You exist in the context.
And the context is currently... He's apologised.
Okay. Here we go. I apologise for using that metaphor. I've done it on Sunrise.
But the Prime Minister says he needs to go.
And here you have a guy going to a rally, calling for action, using analogies of guns, bullets, magazines, and goodbye to three members of the government.
Barnaby Joyce has faced a number of scandals. Some of them are pretty recent and pretty public. And the Prime Minister wants to know,
what does this bloke have to do to lose his job?
But Barnaby Joyce's colleagues in the coalition say that's a bit far.
It's not language I would have used, but Barnaby, as we know, does use colourful language. But when it comes to promoting social cohesion, everyone in their language and their words should be lifting the debate.
So what do you think? Should he have to go, or is an apology enough?
All right, Ben, tell me. What do you think? You were actually there at the protest. What really happened? What's the context?
Well, first of all, it's been completely taken out of context what he said. And they don't cover his full speech and how he held Labor to account for what they're doing for ignoring the community, leaving the people behind. And what they also don't show is all of the working class people and locals and constituents who, after his speech, come and shook his hand and said, "Thank you very much for standing up for us. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for being here." And, you know, he really resonated with the people, the working class Ocker Aussies who were doing it tough because of the cost of living that Labor's put on them. And he really resonated with them because he used language that everyday people are using. And the metaphor he used, it's been taken out of context. It's the same as if you go into a debate and you're researching and you say, "I'm just getting ammo for the debate." That's all it is. It's they've taken it completely out of context and just trying to smear somebody who really hit home with the locals and really got a very good response from the local people down there.
Christine and Quinton, I mean, you guys, you know, there are guns all over the place up where you guys come from in Cessnock and Newcastle. I mean, did this scare you?
No, not at all.
Right.
I think Albanese is just deflecting attention from himself.
Right, Quinton, tell me.
Well, they're asking what does Barnaby need to do to get sacked. I'd like to know what Andrew Giles need to do to get sacked.
Andrew Giles?
How many stuff-ups in immigration policy is going to be tolerated? Okay, he's been moved out of that portfolio now, but, you know, he hasn't been disciplined by the party. He's just been moved aside.
I'm glad you said that because we're actually going to come to the portfolio shuffle later. But Andrew Giles, you're 100% right. He gave us some huge problems with the Don Jr. tour, with the visa debacle. Yeah. But what I'm reminded of when I was listening to that particular podcast, and Stephen, you might remember this, when they were describing Trump in 2016, the establishment didn't take him, they took him literally rather than seriously, whereas his audience, as Ben rightly pointed out, his audience took him seriously, not literally, and they shook his hand after.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the best insights about Trump, that, his supporters precisely saw behind what he was literally saying and saw the things that he was actually going to do, whereas his enemies completely ignored that and just focused on sort of the things that he literally said that most people knew that he didn't really mean. And in terms of the Barnaby Joyce, I mean, look, I will definitely say, you know, his words were injudicious. It was very Barnaby Joyce. I don't think it's such a great idea to be describing votes and ballots as bullets and things like that, especially, you know, less than 2 weeks after an attempted presidential assassination. But Albo is totally hysterical about this. I don't actually know who advised him to make such a big deal about this. Maybe it's from his own brain, but Australians are just not going to care about this. And I completely agree with Christine. He's just deflecting from his own failures right now. He's going badly in the popularity polls. Labor is trending down. He's just reshuffled his cabinet. And as Quentin said, he hasn't sacked one of the most incompetent ministers in Australian history, and easily the most incompetent immigration minister in Australian history. And this is just his way of pathetically trying to deflect from his own failures.
Just another point.